Now we have the last two topics before we end this presentation. So we are going to discuss again about the standard. So I already gave a glimpse to you what is the standard all about from our previous slides that we have discussed earlier. Now, when we say the standard is that this is a type of language which arises when a certain dialect begins to be used in a written form. That is why English became the standard language globally because it was used diba, in certain or in a lot of written forms that we have, may it be in literature or in administrative matters. So that is why you must not ask certain question, why is our birth certificate written in an English language where in fact we are in Philippines, so it should be like Tagalog. But then, since English is the standard, diba, we should adhere to the fact that we should again follow, diba, what the other nations do. So the use of this type of language is that it is supported by psychological factors such as feelings of solidarity. Again, the main purpose of using the standard languages is because of us to communicate, diba? To communicate um as one. So that is why a lot of Koreans, Japanese, they also have their Chinese, is that they're also giving or exerting at least an effort for them to learn the English language. No, although they give priority to their language, but since English is the standard, they still need to learn in order for them to be able to communicate diba, to other people or to other nationalities. It is not a prerequisite, it is not a prerequisite, but learning the English language is a must. Why? Because if we didn't because using the standard language is that it could promote oneness, diba, among the nations. And it also gives us this relaxed mood, diba, of being connected with informal behavior. Okay. And as you can also see, there is the main purpose of using the standard languages is that, as you can see there, it also lead to the minimization of linguistic variation. Because if all people know how to use the English language or how to speak of in the English language, there would be there will be a minimal linguistic diversity within us. And then the standard variety, or simply the standard or the prerequisite of a language, is the variety of which enjoys the highest status and the highest prestige in a speech community. Um, I think that I think that when we say about this statement is that being able to speak fluently by using the English language could also be is that you could also enjoy it as a being like prestiged already. Why? Because if you know how to speak the English language, you will know how to communicate with other nationalities as well. But then, we should not discriminate those type of persons who do not want to learn the English language itself, because for them is that they're already satisfied that they were able to communicate about with those other persons without speaking that English language. Okay. The standard variety of language is generally codified. Now, when we say codified, is that we enjoy the English language being simply put, diba, into writing, as well as into speaking, diba? Sorry, because I think that using the English language is more easy when it comes to writing, because when it comes to speaking, is that we are really prone or vulnerable into committing errors, which say for an example is to those adults, diba? To those adults learners, diba? They're afraid of committing errors or their errors being fossilized. So that is why we need also to exert effort in order for everyone, diba, to enjoy the standard language that we have right now. Okay. So when we say codification, is that it includes the description of a number of linguistic norms in dictionaries. So that is why you can also observe that we have types that we can have these types of dictionaries in which words were written in the English language, of course. Okay, so they officially define the correct usage of the standard variety, both written and spoken. Okay, so the standard meaning we adhere to the specific types of words, rules, or usage. Okay, so this prestigious codified variety becomes the legitimized standards. Legitimized meaning it was already justified or it was already accepted. So moreover, the language as a whole is thus regularized and standardized, where various varieties with less prestige become marginalized. So standard English was more widely accepted than the dialects that we have, which were more become marginalized or questioned. Okay. Now we have here the idiolect. Okay. Now, the idiolect is the distinctive speech of an individual and linguistic pattern regarded as unique among speakers of a person's language or dialect. But it is more even granular, more narrow, than just all the speakers of a particular dialect. So the theory holds, therefore, that no two people who share a common language have exactly the same linguistic repertoire. Okay. Um, Say for an example, so we can say there that we have the two morphemes, which is the idio and the lek. So idio means own, and lek refers to a social variety of a language. So idiolect refers to an individual's unique variety and or use of language. Now, how does a dialect and an idiolect distinguished within each other? What are their differences? When we say dialect, dialect is a type of language which exists, diba, in a certain region or in a certain place. Whereas idiolect is that it is a type of language which have individual have. Okay, I hope that you get it. So say for an example, okay. Say for an example, 'di ba? So in Aklanon, again, so say for an example is in Aklan, 'di ba? We have this dialect which is called Aklanon. But when we say idiolect is that is the type when we say idiolect, say for an example is with me. Okay, so I have my own way of how I speak normally. So I behave when I'm speaking to a professional, 'di ba? I do not behave when I speak with my family because I am more open-minded when it comes to them. Say for an example, I am careful of the words that I am speaking towards the co-teachers that I am with. And say for an example is when I am speaking to my son is that I am more comfortable when I'm speaking to my son. So that is what makes idiolect distinguishable among dialect, because dialect is the language that is used regionally, while an idiolect is an individual's unique way, diba, of using that language. Okay, so I hope Okay, so I hope that you're already aware among the topics that we have discussed. Again, what is social linguistics? What are the differences between the dialect, the accent, and the language? What is the standard? What is the idiolect? And of course, what is the social language? Okay, so that's it. Thank you and good morning. And the rest will follow. Okay, thank you very much for listening.